Inyat. The road that should not have been there. There are roads that appear on maps, and roads that appear only when you're too tired to question them. This road was the second kind, a narrow strip of cracked blacktop slashed through a forest that hadn't been there in decades. Trees like hollowed-out bones, branches like fingers curled inward, as if trying to remember the shape of prayer. You don't remember why you were driving, only that your hands were tight on the wheel, and the sky behind you felt heavier than the sky ahead. You told yourself you just needed air, space, a moment where nothing demanded anything from you. But the moment you took this road, you felt the difference. It felt like the world exhaled behind you, and inhaled in front of you, and you drove on anyway, too. The first sign that something watches. It started with the feeling. Soft at first, like someone whispering your name from the back seat. Not loud, just enough to make you glance into the mirror. Nothing there, just the reflection of trees curling inward, leaning closer each mile, like they were listening. Then came the first sign. A wooden one, leaning sideways, half swallowed by vines. Welcome to Greyfoot Hollow, a quiet place for the tired. The words looked more carved than painted, as if someone had pressed each letter into the wood with their fingernails. You told yourself it was quaint, old-fashioned, a relic of a town that loved its history, but your chest tightened anyway, and your foot leaned heavier on the gas. Third. The town that waits for footsteps. Greyfoot Hollow appeared all at once, not in a distance, but in a breath. One moment the forest was all teeth and shadows, the next, the trees opened like curtains, and the town sat quietly in the clearing. Buildings with wooden fronts, like a photograph of the Old West, left too long in the sun, windows staring with the kind of stillness that means either no one's home, or everyone is watching. You parked. You stepped out. The air felt warm, but wrong somehow. Too still. Too patient. That's when you noticed the first thing out of place. White stones. Perfectly smooth, perfectly oval, placed in a small line along the dirt near your feet as though marking a path. 5 of them. Exactly 5. When you bent to pick one up, the town seemed to hold its breath. You should have left it, but you didn't. Ivi, the whisper beneath the ground. As you walked through the main street, the stones in your hand grew warm, then cool, then warm again, like tiny hearts beating out of rhythm. And beneath your feet, a faint tremor, not an earthquake, not a vibration, something softer, like something shifting beneath the dirt. Listening, following. When the tremor stopped, you felt it more than heard it. A whisper, not in your ear, in the bones of your legs. One word, return. You froze. But the whisper faded, and the silence deepened, so thick you could almost chew it. Somewhere in the distance, a door creaked, then slammed. Not from wind, the air was still. Something, or someone, had closed it. V. The Hotel of Unnamed Faces. The hotel was the only building with an open door. Light flickered inside, old bulbs that glowed with a faint orange pulse, like the heartbeat of something sleeping. The clerk stood behind the desk, tall, thin, face blurred in your memory even as you stared at it. He didn't speak, just nodded once, slow, as if he'd been waiting for you to arrive. You tried to ask if there was somewhere to stay in town, but your voice sounded wrong here, too loud and too small at the same time. The clerk pointed to the stairs, upward, into the dim hallway. When you turned to go, you noticed something behind him. 2 silver lockets, polished so clean you could see your reflection in them, except the reflection didn't move with you. It blinked slower, smiled when you didn't. Tilted its head a fraction too late. You looked away, you went upstairs, you pretended it was fine. V. The party in the field. After changing, something drew you outside. A sound, a hum, a gathering of voices in the field behind the town. You walked toward them. Townspeople stood in a loose circle, smiling but without joy, laughing but without sound. Their eyes were too wide, and their smiles too thin, and their feet never seemed to disturb the ground beneath them. It was a party without music, a celebration without cause, and you realized, breath hitching, that every single one of them stared at your hands, at the stones you still held. One by one, their faces tightened, like fear, like anger, like hunger. A woman stepped forward, her eyes milky, her voice a cracked whisper. "Put them back." Another voice echoed it. "Throw them back." A third. "They belong below." You stepped back, your heels sank, just an inch, into soil that should have been dry. You looked down. The ground was softening, turning liquid, mud climbing your ankles like curious hands. 7, the ones rising from the earth. First, you heard the wet sound, like a shovel sinking into damp clay. Then another and another. Then fingers surfaced, white, smooth, unnatural. They pushed upward, splitting the earth. Bodies rising slow, as though waking from a long sleep. Figures made of pale clay and human shape, but wrong, eyes empty, no mouth. Just smooth porcelain where features should have been. They reached toward you, not to grab, to take back what you held. You threw the stones, 1, then 2, then all 5. Each one hit the field with a dull, heavy thud that echoed far too loudly. The town exhaled. The ground stopped swallowing your feet. The figures sank back into the earth, vanishing like they'd never been. You stood alone, but only for a moment. Ain. When the town learns your name from behind you, a voice whispered, "Now we know who you are." You turned. No one there. But the town had changed. Windows glowed with a soft, cold light. Doors creaked open, one by one, like mouths stretching wide. And somewhere, above, below, within, the whisper grew, "A quiet place for the tired. Stay, stay, stay." The word echoed, deeper and deeper, until it felt like the whole town was breathing it. You ran, back to the road that first brought you here. But the trees had closed in, branches curled like ribs over a cage. The road was gone. Greyfoot Hollow had swallowed it, swallowed you. 9. The final truth. You turned back toward the buildings. Every doorway glowed silver, every window watched. The clerk stood at the edge of the hotel's porch, holding one of the lockets, open. Inside was a picture, not of you. Not yet. The second locket dangled from his other hand. Its clasp clicked open, slow, patient. Inside, an empty oval space. Waiting, just big enough for your face. You ran again, it didn't matter where. The ground trembled softly like amusement, like shifting clay, and from beneath it came that whisper once more. Return. Your feet slipped, your breath stumbled, then you realized it wasn't telling you to give something back. It was telling you where you belonged, beneath, with them. With the townspeople who didn't walk so much as glide, with the pale figures who rose from the dirt, with the ones who had no mouths to scream. You fell to your knees, the earth softened beneath you, like a grave that had been waiting for your weight. The last thing you saw was the clerk's blurred face leaning close. The last thing you heard was the click of a locket closing. The last thing you felt was the ground opening and welcoming you home. End.